can you tell me a little bit about when you first started noticing something was different or challenging for you?
When I was different, I was a little kid. People seemed that I was smarter than I was supposed to be, but I didn't speak right, and I didn't understand people's emotions. But I seemed to know things that even adults didn't know.
That's really interesting to hear. Sounds like you had some unique experiences early on. So let me ask you this. When did you first start seeking a diagnosis, and what were those initial steps like for you?
I didn't seek a diagnosis first. The school pushed for my mom to get me to go see a counselor and get me diagnosed, and they diagnosed me with ADD first or ADHD, and that was how it started. And then it's just been a long, progressive thing over 30 years.
Thanks for sharing that. It sounds like it was quite a journey from the very start. So, for the next question, how did that initial misdiagnosis of ADHD shape the kind of treatment or support you received early on?
It really wasn't a full misdiagnosis because I'm ADD. I'm just not hyperactive. I was just young back then. But they put me on medicine really, really early, like Ritalin, uh, and it really messed with me. It kind of gave me emotionally differences. It kind of drained me where I was just like a zombie because it worked too hard. It was too big of a dose. I was just real little.
That must have been a really challenging experience, especially at such a young age. It sounds like those early treatments had a big impact on how you felt day to day. So, moving along with that, when did you start realizing that there might be more to your diagnosis than just ADHD?
Um, Later on,
Okay,
they started diagnosing me with depression and everything after I lost my kids, and I went into a really bad depression. And they diagnosed me with depression, but they tried to diagnose me with depression early on, something about not knowing my father and everything. Um, I didn't start thinking there was more to it until a few years ago when they diagnosed me bipolar, and I was having all these delusions and these delusions of grandeur, thinking I was Jesus and like the TV was talking to me and everything. And that there was probably something more to it. And then I was also wondering, I've been to the hospital 30 times and they have these delusions and they're just saying I'm bipolar and just passing me through and not really wondering why I'm having these delusions. And then another doctor showed up one day, my last time there, and she said it wasn't normal. I'd gone somewhere I wasn't used to going, and it was different. It was good for me. And she tried me on a new medicine. I came back, and my psychiatrist all of a sudden saw my paperwork again and started thinking about it and diagnosed me with schizoaffective disorder.
wow, that's quite a journey. And it sounds like you really went through a lot of different phases before reaching that more accurate diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder. So let me go on to the next question. How did that final diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder help you make more sense of your experiences and symptoms overall?
Make more sense of my experiences and my symptoms. It made sense to why what I thought was reality constantly was changing into these Alice in Wonderlands type stories, and that it was a processing disorder firing in my brain, and that the medicines they have been giving me were mood stabilizers, but I have the same mood all the time because I'm autistic as well. And I was just having delusions of grandeur and psychosis, and the way my thought process was happening. And now I got a new medicine that helps with that and treatment that helps with that instead of behavior or mood behavior.
That makes a lot of sense. It sounds like getting the right diagnosis really helped you understand the shifts in your reality and the nature of your illusions. So let's dive into the next question. Once you started on the new medication and the more accurate treatment, what kinds of improvements or changes did you start to notice in your daily life?
I was able to think more clearly without my brain going nuts. First, it slowed down a little bit too fast. I had to get used to it, but then it got to the right tempo, and my brain process was in a different order. And so I was thinking more clearly in a more reality, rational way instead of thinking all these crazy Alice in Wonderland thoughts about being a messiah. And people started treating me different, and they started treating me more normal. And then eventually that led to me getting a job, and maintaining a place. And I moved in with my roommate. We've lived together for years now. We get along great. Um, and so I was able to actually maintain a home and a job with having severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia and autism. Most people can't even work a job with those.
That's really wonderful to hear, and it sounds like you've made some incredible progress. So let's go a bit deeper. How has having that stability and those improvements changed your outlook on the future? Or maybe even your own self confidence?
I was able to get my life back and rebuild old burned bridges. Getting the diagnosis was also able to help cope with me and my mother, who was having a hard time realizing it. And then she'd seen that I was autistic and developed schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder, and it cleared up a lot of things for her. It cleared up a lot of things for me. My work works with it, and I take treatment really seriously. I have a caseworker and everything for years now, the same one I trust. It's really hard for me to trust someone with schizoaffective disorder. I always thought they were going to kill me or sacrifice me or something. And so now it's changed where I trust them, and I go and every week I see her, and every month I get my shot for Sustaina, and Vegas Sustaina. And it's just really affected me in a good way.
Question for you. What advice would you give to someone who might be going through a similar journey of figuring out a diagnosis or finding the right treatment?
If you know something's wrong and you know you need some kind of help, or other people are telling you you're not acting right, and it's a lot of people, like the duck tail story, everybody tells you have a tail, just look into it. If you think that they're the government and they're going to kill you and everything like that, try to ask for a caseworker or a peer specialist first. They'll meet you out in public where you're comfortable, and they won't take you and they won't force you to do any changes, and they'll get to know you. That way you can get to trust them. I've really developed a relationship with my caseworker, and she has been there for me for years. She helped save my life, and I trust where she takes me and where we got to go. And if she doesn't know the answers, she sticks with me through it till I find the answers, because they think I'm pretty intelligent. They crack jokes about being a savant and everything. And get the medicine. If you're bad with taking medicine and taking your pills every day, ask and get some information about the monthly shot if they have it for like my Sustaina. I was really bad about missing my pills and everything. And with pills, there's ups and downs and spikes. And with the Sustaina, it's constantly at a peak like this, and it just curves. So it's steady. So there's a lot less side effects in certain parts. With most people, some people do have big side effects. I don't. I've been great ever since. They take it slow and test it. I'm on a lower dose, but I get it once a month. And I got my life back. I got my family back. I got a job. I have a YouTube channel or two. I make candles and soaps, and I get to have the things that most people that have schizophrenia don't get to enjoy. And that's because I take my treatment, and I take my security team and my sobriety away from toxic things that were killing me. I take that stuff seriously, and now I have a way bigger piece. I have a schedule that's set. I have people that work with me with a support group. My boss works with me at my job. They work with me in my treatment, where I get to say what I want to do and what I don't want to do, and they just ask me about things if I know about it, so I'll study. And they're not evasive or pushy anymore. I just had to get to the right people and the right way to do it. It started with a caseworker or a peer specialist. And then after that, they'll take you more serious, and you'll get the help you need.
Well, first off, I just want to say you've done a fantastic job sharing your story. My advice would be to keep doing exactly what you're doing, staying open about your journey and continuing to build those relationships of trust. You've clearly made a lot of progress, and I think that's something to be really proud of.
Thank you.
We're very welcome. And hey, I'm always here if you need someone to talk to.